In what has to be another boneheaded move by President Trump, the Associated Press reports that Donald Trump has been handing out his personal cell phone number to the different world leaders that he has met. I mean, look, he was just in a big tour of Europe, meeting with European leaders and also meeting with Saudi Arabian leaders. And he's been apparently handing out his cell phone to different people. Like, hey, give me a call. Right here, my cell. You're not supposed to do that. Now, here's what the Associated Press says. Trump has urged leaders of Canada and Mexico to reach him on his cell phone, according to former and current U.S. officials with direct knowledge of the practice. Of the two, only Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has taken advantage of the offer so far. Well, yeah, because Trudeau's too nice to turn it down. Trudeau's going to be like, yeah, okay, I mean, I guess. If you really want to give me your cell phone number, I'm too polite to turn you down. Okay. Now, Trump also exchanged numbers with French President Emmanuel Macron when the two spoke immediately following Macron's victory earlier this month, according to a French official. Now, so you might actually be thinking, look, Jeff, hey, what's the big deal about this, right? Canada is our ally. Mexico's our ally. France is an ally. Who cares? Why is this an actual story? Well, presidents generally, what they're supposed to do is whenever they use a call, they're supposed to use a secured phone line. Now, the Associated Press goes into detail. Now, these secure phone lines include the ones in the White House Situation Room, the Oval Office of the presidential limousine. That's where presidents are generally supposed to make calls from, and the reason it's a secure line. Well, that's the important word right there, secure. See, this is the very thing that a lot of people went after Hillary Clinton for when it came to her email server. The fact that she could have had possibly classified information go through her server that was not secure. This was a security issue. Well, now Donald Trump going through his cell phone, also not very secure. So that kind of matters. You see, even if Trump uses his government-issued cell phone, if they took away his Android, which they may have apparently did, and gave him an iPhone, which is slightly more secure, well, even that is still not secure. His calls are still vulnerable to eavesdropping, particularly from foreign governments, according to national security experts. So, Derek Chollet, former Pentagon advisor and National Security Council official, now at the German Marshall Fund, says if you're speaking on an open line, then it's an open line, meaning those who have the ability to monitor those conversations are going to do so and are doing so. Because who doesn't want to spy in the president's phone? Now, Cholet continues, a president doesn't carry with him a secure phone. If someone is trying to spy on you, then everything you're saying, you have to presume that others are listening to it. And again, I ask the question, what foreign government doesn't want to listen to the president of the United States when he's having conversations with possible confidential information, for example, with allies? So it's no wonder why Britain is saying, I don't really want to share classified intelligence with you anymore. And Israel's kind of pissed off as well for the same sort of reason. Now, especially, of course, look, you know Trump is a blabbermouth. So why wouldn't you want to listen in? I mean, for example, he gave our sublocations to the president of the Philippines. Any government would be stupid not to spy in on him at this point, especially knowing what we know. And it's not like the friendly governments don't spy on each other either. We all spy on each other. America spies on each other, on its allies, and America's allies spy on us. It's kind of what they do. That's why you need secure lines. That's why you need secure servers. Okay? Now, the AP notes the caution is warranted even when dealing with allies. As German Chancellor Angela Merkel learned in 2013, when a dump of American secrets leaked by Edward Snowden revealed the U.S. was monitoring her cell phone. Apparently, good relations don't prevent spycraft. It happens. Now, Ashley Deeks, a law professor at the University of Virginia who formerly served in the State Department, said, if you are Macron or the leader of any country and you get the cell phone number of the President of the United States, it is reasonable to assume that they would hand it right over to their intel services. But again, Trump's a knucklehead. I don't think he realizes this. I think he doesn't understand security. And maybe that's another thing he didn't realize was so complicated. Hey, man, who knew this would be complicated, this whole national security thing? I mean, I can't even talk on my a cell phone. What are you going to do? You're going to take away my ability to tweet next? You can't do that. And look, that's why secure lines and advanced planning of phone calls are actually important. That's why you should do this. It's not like calling your buddy over for a beer, okay? In fact, an informal transcript of the call, when a president does make a call, is often made and circulated among a select group. Sometimes a very small group of aides, sometimes a broader group of foreign policy officials. Those records are preserved and archived. Now, the White House did not respond to questions on whether the president is keeping any of these records for these less formal calls with other world leaders. My guess is, of course, no. I don't think he's keeping records at all. Are you kidding me? We are not dealing with somebody who is all that sophisticated. Sorry. Now, in fact, Trump, according to the AP, has struggled more than most recent presidents to keep his conversations with world leaders private. His remarks to Australian Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull, Mexican President Enrique Pena Nieto, and Russian diplomats have all leaked, presumably after notes that the conversation was circulated by national security officials. So, look, there is that possibility that he thinks, well, we've got all these leakers in the White House. They're leaking all this stuff to the press anyway, so if I use my cell phone, then I can bypass the leakers because we don't have to keep records. And I get the bonus of not having to keep records. So this is a win-win-win for me. Well, maybe. But the thing is, he is bypassing the Presidential Records Act of 1981, which was passed in response to Watergate. Now, this requires that all the president and his staff preserve all records related to the office. Okay? Now, that includes personal emails, but doesn't include cell phones, personal cell phones. Well, that is less than clear. In fact, according to Jonathan Turley, professor at George Washington University, he says the law contains blind spots where, namely, record keeping for direct cell phone communications. So basically, it's possible that what he's doing is 100% okay, that he wouldn't have to keep records. So I think it's kind of something that would make sense for him to do. If he's so worried about leaks, and he is worried about leaks, to use his personal cell phone and avoid making these transcripts that could be leaked to the press. So that would actually make sense. So is it his idea? I don't know. I don't think he's that sophisticated, but it could be somebody in the National Security Office, or even Steve Bannon or one of his other advisors who are in the inner circle might have gave him that idea to use that personal cell phone to avoid those leaks. So now, if you're a leaker, you would likely avoid using damaging specifics in these calls, talking about things that, like, if you get a transcript of a conversation between Donald Trump and another world leader that happened to contain some sort of classified information, well, it's possible that it's very likely that you wouldn't release damaging information when you leak that to the press. Most likely. I'm not saying that's the case in every circumstance in every leak. But it's far more likely that if a foreign government gets a hold of it, well, you wouldn't want them to have all those details. I'm just saying. And so that's why we have these rules. Now, Deeks says governments sometimes look like a big bureaucracy and has stupid rules. But a lot of these things are in place for very good reasons, and they've been around for a while and determine the most effective way to do business in the foreign policy sphere. Sometimes it takes presidents longer to figure that out. Well, in this case, it's taking Trump a long way to figure this out. That's why Clinton's private server, though, is important. And again, I realize that some of you might think this is bullshit, some of these rules, And I can understand that, but I think that they're also can be very important. And again, we go back to the Clinton private server. Security is very important. That's why you're supposed to have rules. That's why you're not supposed to have private servers. That's why you're not supposed to have and do business with foreign leaders with your private personal cell phone. It's security. Now, if you see the problem with one, but you don't see the problem with the other, well then, I don't think you really care so much about security. I think you're just playing politics, and that's something that I just absolutely cannot stand. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.